All right, everybody, guys, thank you so much for being here. Thank y'all for showing up early when we first went live. That is an awesome feeling to have you guys here and interactive and having fun with your tackles here on the channel as we get Forensic Friday ready to go. What's up, Converse? Good to see you. I'm doing pretty good. We, just so you guys know, right up here up front, today's forensic stream is just going to be our forensics talk. There won't be any games afterward, unfortunately. I have a friend who's going through something, and unfortunately that is going to keep me from being able to stay with you guys for the rest of the evening. But still should be able to have a great fun time hanging out with each other. Yes, episode 2 hype. Thank you, Fallen. Good to see you guys. Twiggy, Vape Nation in the house. Guys, glad you're here. Yeah, me too, Converse, but we're working through it. We're helping him out, and so we're doing pretty good. I am doing great. What's up, Blue? But I'm doing great, Fallen. Thank you for asking. We're doing fantastic. Baby's doing great. I do have news to share, but not yet. We got to go and tell the family the news first. But trust me, you guys will know as soon as I can possibly tell you. So I'm excited. I am excited. What's up, Giselle? Guys, we got it. Everybody's in the house tonight. I like it. I like it. Alright, you guys. So, without any further ado, remember, this is just the front part of the lab. This is the part to make it look really, really good for the lawyers and judges and investigators that come into our lab. So this is our fancy TV show style lab. Before we actually go into the back, remember, we're working with delicate pieces of evidence and delicate tests, so we do not want to contaminate. So let's put on our gloves and let's head back to the actual forensics lab where everything happens. If these gloves would cooperate, yeah. Oh, big hands. Kind of big hands. I don't even have that big of hands. Alright, here's a test. Yep, it pops. Nice, Converse. Well, I'm glad you guys are here. Blue, thank you for putting on your gloves as well. We want to keep the lab safe and clean. And that host, Converse, freaking awesome, my dude. Yeah, there it goes. Roll this back. Blue Abyss. I get a feeling in the force we're going to have a host train today. I'm perfectly okay with that. Alright, guys, now that our gloves are on, let's go. Gotta support. Yeah, buddy. Thank you. Thank you for that support. And Giselle. Guys, love your faces. Alright, let's get to the lab. Let's get to talking. Because today is a big part to kind of everything else we will talk about. And this is the types of evidence out there. So you're going to hear some things you've probably never heard before. We're not diving into anything specific. However, it is going to be a baseline for everything, for like things like hair and fingerprints and everything like that. So should be pretty exciting. So let's go on back to the real lab and let's do it. That host train. Alright, here we go. Alright, and we're here. We're in the pretty lab. Pretty lab. Alright. So guys, let me pull down my screen real quick. There. It's a little faster than I am. How was dinner? Dinner was fantastic last night, Fallen. Me and the wife got our good news that we're going to be sharing really soon. I know, dang fast. This thing's on a motor. I thought I could pull it, and it was just too fast. And actually, I need to step away just a little bit. There. That's much better. Alright, guys. So then, let me turn on the projector real quick. Hold on. Where's the button? There it is. Alright. And y'all, please, again, magic teacher. Magic. Again, science is just the magic that we understand. The magic, what is magic today is just science we haven't figured out. So, there you go. Guys, if at any point you cannot see things very well or very clearly, I need you to let me know so that I can make adjustments to the presentation screen. I do want everybody to be able to see clearly, so y'all please let me know what is going on if you're having a hard time with audio or video or anything like that. All right, so Pretzel, thank you so much for your hard work, and but we are going to we're gonna kind of turn you down for just a minute. Cool boy with that host. Thank you so much. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to episode 2 of the Forensic Friday series. Cool boy, and thank you for that refollow. Really do appreciate it. So you guys, we're going to hop right in, okay? One sec, I'm going to see if I can get some people to watch. Alright, Converse, well, we're going to actually get started, but you're not going to miss too much. But that'd be awesome. So guys, today is chapter 2 of what I used to teach. This is types of evidence. Types of evidence is the baseline for every part of the investigative team, whether they be experts, investigators, crime scene technicians, police officers. These kind of things need to be understood very, very early on by all people involved. So we have a quote here by Yogi Berra. Okay, it's a former New York Yankee. It says, "You can observe a lot just by watching." Okay, just by looking, using your eyes is one of our biggest tools. That's our eyesight is some of the best mixed with our brains. Now, we don't have the best eyesight in the world. There are animals that can see far better than we can. Did you hear Yogi Bear? No, it's Yogi Berra, the old, or he was an old New York Yankee. Yes, but no, not Yogi Bear. So anyway, our observational skills are big, and that's going to lead us into episode 3. Episode 3 is going to be a little bit more of the interactive type, probably because boogie down, yeah, exactly. Hold on, guys. I'm going to change the music real quick. It's going to match us just a little bit. We're going to be nice and chill today. Ooh. Can I give you questions? Of course, Giselle. What I mainly ask, guys, is that when we're going through, if you guys can keep your questions kind of on topic a little bit, I will answer any questions that you guys give out, but I may not be able to answer those that are off topic right away, since they may not necessarily quite fit into what we were just talking about. But Giselle, you can ask me questions all you want. That's why we're doing this, is to have you guys be a part of this conversation. How y'all doing? I'm doing great, Gamer Grandma. It's good to see you again. Really is good to see you. I'm so glad you're here. But yeah, Giselle, you ask away. Alright, so let's hop into it. Okay, so types of evidence. Okay, so kind of some things to set up what we're going to understand going from there. How's the Google Classroom going? Blue Abyss, I have yet to be able to start that again. That was something I was going to work on today. However, like I said, we have an issue we're helping a friend out with, so I have not been able to do that. However, I will be putting posts when I do get it made that will go back to episode 1 and 2, so you guys can find stuff. So don't worry about that. I will get it to you, Blue. And I'll have instructions for everyone as well, in case you've never ever heard of this before. So what are we going to understand today? Well, the first thing is that we're going to value of indirect and direct evidence in the court of law. So which are more valuable, which are least valuable, and how do they fit into how we make decisions in the courtroom on what is truth and what is not. We also have that eyewitness accounts have limitation. Okay, eyewitnesses are terrible. Oh gosh, Converse. I don't even know what kind of lighting that is. But, okay, third thing is what physical evidence can do and cannot prove. Okay, a lot of the shows, they pull this piece of information from physical evidence, things we collect at the scene, and sometimes that's just not a true thing. So we're going to kind of talk about that. And then what is the forensic scientist's main goal when they find these different pieces of evidence? Like, what are they going to try to do with it? Oh, you mean sparks. Okay, interactive points. Fallen. Thank you for that, host brother. Thank you so much. What is NaOH? That is sodium. Let's see. Oh, I'm forgetting the name of it now. My chemistry is rusty, guys. I haven't done chemistry in years. What is that? Sodium hydroxide, right? It's very basic. Well, actually, it's a kind of salt, since it ionizes into Na plus and OH negative. That's why it's considered a salt chemically. So NaOH, it's usually not very harmful in decent amounts. So that choo-choo, that host train. Yes, there we go. Thank you. Sodium hydroxide. See, you're putting me to the test. So guys, at the end of all this, what can you do now after we have these discussions? Well, you're going to be able to explain the difference between indirect and direct evidence. You're going to be able to describe what is meant, what do we mean by physical evidence, and be able to talk about those examples. Of course, we're going to be able to distinguish between the individual and class characteristics that evidence can have, and also what is the significance of class evidence, because there's a lot of different categorizing here in this particular part, because we're not going to talk about hair, we're not going to talk about DNA, we're not going to talk about fingerprints specifically, but we're talking about all the different types of evidence, because there are so many. How do we categorize them and understand them even further? Hopefully hide a body successfully. Yep. What's up, Pyro? Guys, welcome to the stream. Everybody, welcome, welcome, welcome. We are about to get going with it. So here we go. Types of evidence. Let's go. Game of Sass in the house. What's up? Guys, before we get started, I want to do a quick lag out. That's what now I'm forgetting his name. Old Jin Nugent does. So if you are a streamer here on, oh, speak of the devil, he's now going. A lag out is that if you are a streamer on Mixer, I want you to put your hands up in chat. Okay, you know what that means. ON/ right there. I want you to put them up, and I want everybody to go follow each other. Okay, let's go give some support, because today is an amazing day, and I want you to make sure that we all start giving some love to everybody. See, and there's even people here that I need to follow that I didn't know that they streamed. So we're gonna definitely go check it out. All right, so while we're finishing up the lag out, let's go ahead and get started. So, what are the classifications of evidence? Well, we mainly have kind of two big categories first. The first one being testimonial, and then we have physical. Okay, testimonial, of course, is someone's story. What did they see? What was their account? There was somebody at the door ringing the doorbell. Hopefully everything's okay. We also have physical evidence. Physical evidence are things that we can collect from the scene. Hairs, fibers, fingerprints, documents, blood, soil, all that kind of stuff. You followed? Awesome, Converse. Attaboy. Tool marks, bullets, all that kind of stuff. Those are physical things that we can collect from the scene. Okay, so those are our first two categories, and we're going to branch out from there. But first, I want to talk about testimonial evidence. Testimonial evidence, everybody, used to be, we're talking 50 to 100 years and before, was the most common piece of evidence in any kind of argument or case, anything of that nature. Unfortunately, it's not very reliable. Our brains just do not work the way that is necessary for all of this to happen and to work the way that it needs to. So first off, what are some things that can affect the accuracy of someone's account of an action? Well, first is the nature of the offense, okay? That situation that they're in. If you are in a traumatic, violent episode, your mind is not going to be registering details of things that are not a threat to you. If there's a knife or a gun, your brain is going to remember more about that knife and that gun than anything else, whether it be the person's clothes, what they look like, all these things. So that's definitely something to take into account. Okay, the characteristics of the witness. Is this witness, the person giving us a story, one, are they trustworthy? Two, what is their intelligence level? Three, their ability to describe what happened. Do they have the vocabulary? Do they have the mental capacity to describe in in great detail the things that they witnessed and that they saw, especially because if it's a young child versus an adult. I mean, all these things come into play when you are talking to someone for their side of the story. Same thing if there is an argument in, let's say at home, between a husband and wife and they have a kid. If it got crazy and the police have to show up, you're going to get the wife's story, you're going to get the husband's story, and you're going to get the story of the child. And all three of those accounts, could be very very different. Tank Rat, yes, happy Forensics Friday to you guys as well. Thank y'all for being here. What's up, brother? I'll get something just a little bit. That was quick. Alright, man. Be out of a minute. Alright, guys. Sorry about that. Yeah, we've just been going, and we ordered food, and it got here in like 20 minutes. That's fast. But that was my friend. I got a friend staying with us this evening. And so that's why today we're only going to be doing our forensics talk. We're not going to be diving too much into any gaming or anything afterwards, but should be fun. Still should be fun. Okay, and then moving on, the last one is the manner at which the information is retrieved. If you are talking to someone in their living room on their couch, where they're calm and cool and collected, then your chances of getting a truthful account is going to be much better than if you take them to the station, you put them in that little interrogation room, it's all cold and everything like that. You're going to make them nervous, so it's going to be crazy. Yes, I do have a Treat Stream account, Mr. Tank Rat. It is down below in the description. I got that set up last week. I thought that would be something interesting to try. Let's see. What makes this? Rosin, black ferric oxide, and lamp black. Ooh, Giselle. I'll be honest. I have no clue. Rosin, black ferric oxide, and lamp black. I don't know, Giselle. Like I said, my chemistry days are long behind me. I am so rusty. Oh, nice converse. I would imagine black ferric oxide. Well, that's iron oxide, so that's going to be rust. So there's oxygen and iron there. But the black, I'm assuming there's going to be some carbon, possibly? I don't know. What is it, Giselle? Aha! Okay. Fingerprint powder. So fingerprint powder, wait. I want to make sure that I'm understanding. You said, what makes this? Rosin, black ferric oxide. I think what I misunderstood is what are those the ingredients? Okay, because when you're saying like that, then yeah, that makes a lot more sense. But when you say what makes this, I thought what makes rosin, what makes ferric oxide or black ferric oxide, and what makes lamp black. I was thinking in the opposite way. But yeah, exactly, fingerprint powder. And I'm going to show you guys one day. I want to show you how to make fingerprint powders at home, where you don't need these fancy, expensive things, because they're very highly priced. Yeah, there we go, Giselle. I was a little confused, and I was like, I know these things. Now, I'll be honest with you, I don't make fingerprint powder. I just purchase it, but you definitely need all of those things. That ferric oxide is really good because it reacts with water and stuff in the fingerprint. But no big deal. All right, guys, so what else works on someone's memory? Well, we've got, okay, what is the prior relationship to the person accused? If you were asking a girlfriend or a wife about their husband or boyfriend, it's going to be different than somebody who lives across the street. And look at that, Big Gunner 99. Thank you for that follow. Welcome to Forensic Friday. Welcome to the Rugby League. Hopefully you're having a great day. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Welcome. Next is the length for time between when the offense was occurring and then when the actual questions were being asked. If it's within an hour, memory's going to be great. If it is 3 months apart, like some cases get to be, that's bad. That's really, really bad. Excuse me, everybody. Okay, now our next point is any prior identification or failure to identify the defendant. So if you have tried to pick somebody out of a lineup and you have failed before, you go again, you're going to be more apt to pick somebody that second time. Hey, what's up, Big Gunner? Thank you for that follow. How is your Friday going? All right, and then our last one, any prior identification of a person other than the defendant by the eyewitness. So you can pick the wrong person in a lineup every single time, but when the person who actually did it is someone else. That has happened many a time. So we've got all these different things, and that creates stress, and stress on the mind affects memory pretty big. Also, your mental training. If you are not an observant type person, and something happens out of nowhere, then you're not going to pick up on details that people are more used to thinking that in that more detailed way. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's normal life. So anyway, everybody's different. So an eyewitness, okay, we can do things like make sketches. This is used with a program called Faces, okay, the one you see here. It can be done by an artist. It can also be done by a computer program. And these sketch artists have been some of the reasons why some of the most famous criminals have been caught before. So it's quite amazing. The way the program Faces does it is quite interesting. Let me just double check. Yep. It doesn't give you a whole face and have you pick the different parts like the forehead, the eyes, the ears, the nose. It doesn't have you do that looking at the whole face. It does it piece by piece because there's something called leading a witness. If you are asking questions in an interview and you ask them, okay, what kind of gun did you see when the crime was occurred? Okay, one, you have just basically subconsciously told this person, okay, there was a gun at the scene. So they're going to automatically be thinking that there was. Okay, and there may not have been it. What if you don't know what weapon was used? And you ask, okay, what kind of gun was used? Okay, they're gonna make them start thinking gun. Then you're going to throw off their entire judgment of their memory. And they're like, oh, it was a silver and black. Like they're gonna start making stuff up because their brain is gonna fill in the blanks from what they remember and what you just told them. So that's what it means to lead someone. Lead them into thinking a certain way or thinking in a certain that certain respect. So this program keeps you from doing that by showing you piece of the face one at a time. So and then it puts it all together at the end, which is quite remarkable and quite handy in doing a really good job with your investigation. Alright, you guys, so testimonial, that was a real brief thing. We are going to hit more about like how testimonial evidence in your brain works on episode 3. I'm really looking forward to that one. It's a very video heavy type presentation, so I think you guys will like it. How often does evidence get faked or used against an innocent person? Well, Gamer Grandma, there's no way of statistically analyzing that specific number, at least as far as I'm aware. However, I will say that at the base level, usually the officers are where you find the most of that. There's corruption everywhere, and that was one of the things we talked about in episode 1, is that we're not really here to hit some of the more controversial topics of our law enforcement and how it is structured and the problems. We know that there are problems, and they're evident. They are truly evident. But there are also problems on both sides, I think, on that argument that need to be acknowledged. But anyway, that's a personal opinion. But anyway, we didn't want to get into where we're debating and arguing and fighting with each other. So we're going to try to keep it to the procedures and what the evidence says. No. You are perfectly fine. Because that's a valid question that you have. Unfortunately, I can't give you a data-based answer because there is no one who is going to report to someone and give that data and have it be accurate, because for everyone that is reported, there could be anywhere between 10 and 1,000 that aren't reported. And so anyway, I just didn't want to what's the word for it? I didn't want to blanket statement things that we truly don't know. So that's my point. Because we could sit here and somebody that's from an area that has a lot of corruption is going to have one point of view, and a place that doesn't have as much or doesn't have as much evident corruption is going to have a different. And anyway, I didn't want to start anybody getting into arguments and fights over some of the things that are the more controversial stuff today. So anyway, that's my goal with it, on keeping it to the facts, keeping it how do we, in a perfect world, do our investigations so that the truth comes out through the evidence. That's my goal with this series. So please don't be sorry. It's just we can hit that, and that would be a huge soapbox. And I don't think it would be fair to you guys and your opinions. The fact that I get to speak about it and y'all get to see me talk about it, and you guys have to sit there and chat away and have to type it. That's not a fair forum for those ideas and opinions and facts to be shared. But I do highly recommend that if you have someone to speak to on those topics, that you do it. It's fun. All right, guys. So, getting back to it, so we just talked about testimonial evidence, how it can be reliable and unreliable. Let's talk about the physical evidence. Okay. Now, like this little note on the side, as a result of the influences on eyewitness testimony, physical evidence becomes critical, because how are you going to prove that this person over here is telling me the truth in their story versus this person over here in their story? Does the evidence back up what they're saying? So this is why it's a marriage of these two types of evidence. So we have to use both in conjecture, because how are we going to know where to start? Well, we start with the testimony. That's easy to get. We can record that. We can revisit it. Excuse me. The physical evidence is what is going to guide us the rest of the way. Okay. So that's why it's really, really good to have good technicians understanding about that type of thinking. So, like, for instance, it's more reliable always, because it can either tell you this, or this based on how this test result comes out, or the footprint is going in that direction, but they said he ran off that way. Well, now you have facts, things you can't change that are going to be true. They can actually prove that a crime has been committed. Okay, just somebody saying so and so stole my TV doesn't mean they actually stole your TV. Okay, humans have the ability to lie, so we need evidence to back it up and prove that a crime was actually committed. It can corroborate or refute testimony. It's what we were just talking about. Back up or deny what someone was saying. We also have linking suspects. If you have a suspect who you think did this crime and you don't have any evidence of them being in that location, then they can't honestly be a suspect. Identity of persons associated with the crime. Who was there? Okay, fingerprints, DNA, footprints, fiber evidence. All these things can tie back to people. And proving somebody being present is half the battle of a forensic investigation. That's kind of step number one, because if you are trying to arrest somebody and you have no proof that they were anywhere near, then you can only hold them for 48 hours without charging them, and you can't charge them without having something to say you have probable cause that they did it. So anyway, it's a big circle. All right, identity of persons associated, yeah, we got that one. And then allow the reconstruction of the events. What actually happened? Oh, virus. Well, thank you for coming by. Hopefully you can still kind of hear us while you're lurking, but hopefully work goes okay for you, my friend. Alright, so let's see. Yeah, reconstruct the crime. Okay, that's the main job of a forensic scientist. We have to say what happened when this crime occurred and prove it. So, you're going to hear me say the word prove a lot, because, I mean, that's what we're doing. That's our whole job. Oh, of course, virus. Of course. So, let's talk about that reconstruction. So, physical evidence can answer some questions. Okay, what kind of questions can they ask? What's up, Lee? How you doing, my friend? Good to see you. Welcome to episode 2 of Forensic Friday. We're talking about types of evidence today. So, what kind of things can physical evidence put together for us when it comes to recreating the scene? Well, what took place? Okay, gunshot, stabbing, mugging, fight, vandalism, theft, all these things. It can help prove that. The number of people involved. Okay, this evidence can get, like, if you find multiple DNA samples, then guess what? You now have multiple people who you have proven to be at the scene. And then you can also get the sequence of events. Blood is great for figuring out what happened. Blood is one of the best pieces of evidence you can get at a crime scene if it was a violent crime, because blood can tell you quite a bit. And hopefully when we get to blood, I can show you quite a lot on like the characteristics of blood. That one will probably be a multiple week section, because blood evidence is, one, it's to me it's really interesting. Two, it's pretty crazy. What is H2F? I have not run into that compound, Giselle. At least not personally. So let me see. Blood equals DNA. Not necessarily, Gamer Grandma. Our red blood cells do not carry DNA. It's one of the only cells that does not have DNA. DNA can come from many different sources. Skin cells, saliva. It can come from what's called the leukocytes, the white blood cells in blood. But yes, usually blood is our DNA, because you're going to have white blood cells mixed in with red blood cells no matter what. And it's also just the most common that we usually find, because violent crime where blood is shed is probably about 70 to 75% of all crimes. That statistic might be a little bit old, but at least 70% of all crimes committed are violent crimes where there is blood found at the crime scene. Giselle, I am blanking, my friend. Let's see, 2 hydrogen, a fluorine. Is that fluoroantimonic acid? I have not run into fluoroantimonic acid. That wouldn't happen to be luminol, would it? I'm assuming that that's going to be definitely luminol, because it's going to react, looking at that, that's going to react with iron pretty well. Alright, so anyway, reconstruction, you guys, is, so like that DNA that Gamer Grandma was talking about, that's going to help us recreate the crime scene, because every time somebody gets stabbed, oh, the world's strongest acid. Is it because foric acid, I believe it's foric, is actually one of the few that you can actually dissolve a body in. But I'll have to look that up. I haven't looked up the acids, because that's world's strongest acid. You cannot get your hands on it without special licenses. So that makes it extremely difficult for somebody to just do, unless if you know how to make it going through the chemical processes. Alright, so the reconstruction with DNA, okay, if there was a stab here, then there's going to be blood in that location. Stab over here, and then it goes like there. Oh, I got you. I got you, Giselle. So anyway, we're gonna compare what is questioned, which is called our unknown samples that come from our crime scene. So what comes in the little baggies, this is our unknown samples at first. We're gonna compare them to known samples. This is how we make our matches to move through what's going on. So then, now talking about the actual types of evidence. Okay, here are 5 main types of physical evidence. We have the first, which is transient, means it does not linger very long. It can stay only for a few moments within the first hour. Okay, we have then pattern evidence, something that is done by direct contact between a person and an object, or between 2 objects. Conditional evidence, okay, made by a specific event or action. Okay, so like a set of circumstances, like it was raining, it was foggy, and then there was a car wreck. Okay, those kind of pieces of evidence do go into that investigation. We have transfer evidence, so contact between people and objects, between people and people. So pattern evidence and transfer evidence are different, and this is how. Okay, pattern evidence is made by the direct contact. So if I have blood on my hand and I touch the wall, oh, converse. You're welcome anytime, dude. Sorry you had to leave a little early, but I hope you have a great rest of your day, dude. Thanks for coming by. But pattern evidence, okay, direct contact between a person and object, or between 2 objects. So we can, if I have blood on my hands, I can leave that pattern behind. Or if 2 objects run into each other and they scrape paint, that is a big one. But transfer evidence is more of like skin cells. Okay, if I shake someone's hand, they're getting the dirt and the skin cells from my hand on theirs, and they're giving it to me. Converse, thank you so much. We'll see you later, my dude. Also, Null Hercules, thank you for that host. Welcome to the stream. Happy Forensic Friday. This is episode 2, you guys. We're talking about the types of evidence. All right, and then we have what's called associative evidence. Okay, you may associate a victim or suspect with a scene or other. Okay, what brings them, what associates them with that crime scene? Happy day and hello. How are you, buddy? Good to see you, No Hercules. I've been seeing you all over Mixer today. I've been lurking a lot. All right, guys. So those are the 5. Those are the 5. So let's get into the examples. The transient. Okay, odor, temperature, imprints. Okay, handprints, footprints, fingerprints, that kind of stuff. What's up, Jay? Welcome to the stream, my dude. These things do not linger. Ooh, a work lurker. Well, Null Hercules, I appreciate you being here. You lurk away and have you fun. And if you can come back to us and ask questions, feel free. Of course, the transient stuff. Oh, you're off work now. Okay, I got you. Well, GG's on that. So yeah, odor we all understand. Odors don't linger for very long. They do eventually go away. You're here for the lesson. Or the lesion? Is that how you're saying it now? I'm going to assume you meant lesson. But I'm glad you're here, dude. Temperature. Alright, an engine from a car that's left at a crime scene. Is it cold? Is it warm? Okay, or is it cooling? Is it warming? Is it on? Is it off? That kind of stuff. Hey, don't worry about it. We're all bad spellers at some point. So like a coffee cup in a kitchen. Okay, you get an idea of the time of the crime. If you walk into the crime scene and that coffee is still warm, you know that this happened not too long ago. Because eventually it's going to get to room temperature. Same thing with blood. Same thing with the body temperature of the victim. So all these kind of things. Okay, the imprints. Oh my goodness. Imprints are huge. Footprints made in mud. Okay, if that mud dries out, that print is going to actually shrink up, because when it dries, it's going to expand. As it dries, it's going to pull apart all the sand and mud. All right. Then once if it's made in dry dirt and it gets wet, okay, depending on how it gets wet, 1, that could damage the imprint, or 2, then the ground is going to start to swell and morph. So we're not getting a true measurement of things. Let's see, teeth marks in perishable foods. Yep. Bite an apple, leave it on your counter all day, see what happens. See if you can still see your teeth marks. I bet you'll find that it changes pretty quick. Tire marks. Yep, tire marks are a big one too. Fingerprints. Fingerprints don't stick around forever. Okay, they can in a perfect world, but in a public place, you're never, ever going to find fingerprints staying in pristine condition for very long, just because somebody else is going to come around and probably touch the same thing that was just touched by your suspect. Now, the pattern evidence. Okay, it's things that are kind of more like left behind. They form with imprints, indentations, striations, markings. There's something happening that the contact is creating these markings. Oh, you'll bite an apple, but you're allergic. Well, you could bite an onion. Actually, an onion might not even be as good of a example, because those things can stay pretty decent for a long time. So pattern evidence. Okay, blood spatter, glass fracture, clothing and article distribution. These are things coming in contact with each other. A lot of this is going to be deposited. So these are like your tool marks. All right. You have made this thing have this new characteristic because of your contact with it. So pretty cool. Now there is a word on here that is kind of misplaced. Okay. Oops. This one right here. Modus operandi. What's the hops? Thank you for that follow. Welcome to the Rugby League and welcome to Forensic Friday. Welcome to my lab. We are talking about types of evidence today for episode 2 of Forensic Friday. What the hops? How is your day going, my friend? Well, guys, if you have questions, please feel free. Giselle has been drilling me hard on a bunch of stuff that, again, I'm a little out of practice. My degree is in forensic science, but I have been a school teacher for 6 years. I taught forensics for 3 years, and then now I've been teaching middle school science for 3 years. So I'm a little out of practice, but Giselle is keeping me on point. So far fine, still finishing work, but almost out. Nice hops. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. So anyway, yeah, pattern evidence is something usually left behind by contact with two objects, people to an object, or something like that. Okay, conditional. Here we go, guys. Okay, light, day, night, dusk, dawn, smoke. Okay, what direction was it traveling? What color is it? The density of the smoke. Those can be very conditional things that could lead into an important piece of the puzzle. Excuse me, guys. Okay, fire, location, vehicles, bodies, the scene, everything that can be changed over time. It's crazy. Oh yes, I was going to say something about MO. So let's go back. So modus operandi. This is how someone commits a crime. You usually see this more in like serial killers and repeat offenders. What is their mode of committing this crime? But how do we know somebody's modus operandi? It's going to be through this pattern evidence. So that's what I wanted to say about why this word is here, because that is not actually a type of evidence, but it's something we can figure out with it. I hear you. What's the hops? Why do scorpions glow under black lights? Oh my goodness. I remember that it has something to do with their I don't know, that's not a forensics question. I don't know, I have to get back to you that one because I forget. I do know that there are lots of organisms that have fluorescent compounds that flow through them and that make up parts of their bodies, like fish, for instance, are big ones. Now, it's different than bioluminescence. Bioluminescence means that they generate their own light. But a lot of fish, if you put them under black light, they will actually glow a little bit. So I do know that it's something very similar to that. I just cannot tell you the exact part of it all. But Giselle, if you don't mind for me, buddy, can we keep it on topic for me? Okay? Because unfortunately, we don't have all night to be here. And I hate to say that because I do have a friend that we are helping out today. And he's actually staying here at the house. And I want to make sure that that I'm there for him today. So, sorry guys to bring it down, but that's just the truth. And I'm never going to lie to you guys about what's going on. So, no problem. I mean, these are great questions, Giselle, and they're very interesting. I just, I'd like to try to keep it on topic today, just so we can kind of keep things going. You're confused with the scientific words, sorry. Well, Gamer Grandma, if there's a word you don't know, please, by all means, ask. Because it's very possible that I'm going too fast, or it's something that we need to explain to lots of people. So never, ever, ever be afraid to ask questions, guys. I'm just asking that we kind of keep them on topic, if at all possible. All right. So these examples of conditional, these are not all of them, but these conditions, all of them. Okay, I gotcha. Then I will definitely explain things a little bit better. What's the hops? Thank you so much for that, host. Really do appreciate it, my brother. So good to see you here. Again, thank you for that follow as well. So like conditional is like someone's body. We're gonna use the body example. How is it positioned? What are the types of wounds? What we have called rigor mortis, liver mortis, or algor mortis. What state are they in? Those things are conditional based on how long the person has been deceased. So those things are important to note when the first responders and the investigators get there to the scene, because that's going to give them a piece of information about, okay, for instance, time of death. Rigor mortis is when you see the body and it is stiff. It doesn't move. You actually almost have to break the bones to actually have someone lay down. I believe if I have my time tables right, that can happen anywhere between 12 and 48 hours ish. 12, probably closer to 36, because the rigor mortis will go away. It will dissolve out and the body will relax again. Usually you see rigor mortis if someone died in a particular position. So if they died and were stuffed into a box and their limbs were put in a certain way, between 12 and 36 hours after death, their body is going to become frozen in that position. Cold and blue. Well, it's not going to be blue. it's going to be more pale, and that leads us into the second one. Now, cold, definitely, it's going to feel cool to the touch because the body becomes room temperature. However, there is still their whole body is not quite room temperature at that point. What it has to do is with the potassium and the calcium that is stored within your body, which is what causes your muscles to move and to contract. Think about this, all of that being released and you having a cramp all over your body. All your muscles are tight, okay, in that position. They get stuck because there's no signal to make them relax. So that's what's kind of happening. Now, the cold part is, of course, room temperature. Blue, sometimes you get it, a tinge of blue, but usually you get a very pale pink to white, but then you get what's called livor mortis. So if I pass away on my back, eventually all of my blood is going to settle to my back. And so the back of the victim will be very pinkish red, and the rest of them will be either normal or that pale color we were talking about. Am I being called? No, Blue. I think we were. Well, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, that was a test, Blue, and you passed. You passed. So livor mortis is really interesting because wherever the body is touching. So if I pass away and this is the floor and my hand is right here, okay, it stays in this position. All the blood will flow down here to the bottom, and right here where I was touching the floor will be very, very white. Blanched is what we call it. Then everything else will be very pink from that blood pooling in the body. But that blanching is really interesting too, because if the blanching pattern does not match the situation you found the body in, then you know that the body has been moved. You're listening to everything. I got you, Blue. So really cool there. And then algor mortis. Oh my gosh, why am I blanking on algor mortis? I'll have to get back with you guys on that one. I don't know why. I am blanking a million. If somebody can help me remember, please feel free to speak up. But I know that it has to do with more on the oh my goodness, the decay. Decay has a part with it. And sorry guys, I apologize. Today has been a crazy day and I haven't been able to fully prepare the way I normally would have. So bear with me if I have brain farts. You know, I am starting to get a little old. We've got a baby on the way. That pregnancy brain is contagious. At least according to my wife it is. She says that I have it all the time. Alright, so by nature. There we go. Temp of the body. Duh. So degradation. Over time, the temperature of the body will fluctuate. Thank you so much, What's the Hops. I really appreciate it. That helps a ton. I know I'm not old, but I feel like it some days. So the temperature of the body, okay, go with the room temperature. If it's found out in nature, that body's going to heat up, cool off throughout the day. So that algor mortis is really, really important to understand based on the situation that you're in. I know I told you my age. I'm not that old. Alright, Fallen, thank you so much for being here. You can definitely check out the VOD. I am trying to work out ways to get these on YouTube, so be looking out on the YouTube channel called The Ugly Rugger. I'm going to be putting links to that here on the channel. I'm updating those things as we go this summer. So yeah, I only have a few grays. Got one like right here. Alright guys, so let's keep moving because I don't want to keep y'all all day talking about the same thing. But those three, the mortises are big, especially to medical examiners, you guys. That's one of their things that they do. So classifying evidence by its nature, we have the biological, okay, all of the bodily fluids, of course, those are the easy ones, but there we got chemicals, so like fibers and glass and gunpowder, metals, lubricants, fertilizer, anything that we would need to identify using chemical means would go here. And then we have our physical, okay, physical, like a fingerprint is physically pressed onto something, a shoe print, handwriting, firearms, tools, markings left on tools, or even markings left on bone by a tool would be our physical. And then our last one is kind of our miscellaneous. Voice analysis, which doesn't fit biological, chemical, or physical. We have the polygraph, photography. Okay, photography is a huge piece of evidence. Doing a stress evaluation on a suspect or victim. that could be a big one. It doesn't fit in biological necessarily because it's more psycho than bio. So anyway, there's a lot of different categories that we can kind of go through, and you'll find that if you've ever studied science long enough, scientists love to put things in categories. Love it. So now, I will say that what we're about to talk about now is the most important thing, at least in my opinion. When you're looking at a piece of evidence, understanding its class characteristics versus its individual characteristics are huge. Absolutely huge. So individual characteristics of evidence bring that piece of evidence back to a single person. Out of the entire 7 billion plus people in the world, this piece of evidence proves that this one out of that group was present or had touched this or whatever. Hence the word individual. Yes, it is. For the body, tank rat, measuring the liver, it's very, very central. So if you have your lungs, you find the bottom of your rib cage. Okay, your lungs are right underneath that. So you actually have to go down to the side of your body and go down and find the bottom of the ribs. Right there, underneath there, is your diaphragm. Okay, that's what helps your lungs to press open and everything. It's what also gives you the hiccups. And the liver is a very large organ underneath. Okay, very, very large. And so if you can get there, which is very central to your body, that's going to be more of a true core temperature. And that's what all of our research on time of death using body temperature has been done with, or at least the majority of it. We have worked on other things to try to get some data sets that allow us to estimate it, but liver is definitely the best, tank rat. And that is one thing that the crime shows get right. Now, where they do it and how they do it is sometimes questionable, but yeah, you're exactly right. So the individual characteristics of evidence lead back to one. So then class means it's going to bring it to a group. Okay, we're going to take from everything and narrow it down to a much smaller group. Sometimes that could be 3 or 4 things, or 3 or 4 people even. Sometimes it could be going from 1 million, billion, whatevers to 100. Okay, and so that's where the investigation can get very difficult. So like looking at these strands, okay, here by this sweater, we can say that these strands probably came from this sweater, but we don't have a way of proving or determining that it actually did come from this one sweater. But it definitely came from this group of sweaters, the ones that are made from this material, woven this way, this color. Okay, now out of all the sweaters that were sold in the United States, that could be billions, but at least it narrows it down to only, okay, these few that were actually made in this green color. But there's no way for us without some serious time to try to go in and see if we can find any broken fibers and stuff, because fibers get really interesting because they're not one strand. We all know that a lot of fibers are like rope, lots of strands just kind of interweave together. So that gets difficult. Now the next one, the piece of glass, you can fit a piece of glass that is broken back together. You could glue it. You can prove that each one of these pieces belong to that particular window. If you can't, okay, if the pieces are not fitting, then you may be looking for 2 sources to your glass. Maybe there are 2 deposits. Maybe one on entry versus exit. I don't know. There's all different kinds of situations. But you can again prove that one broken piece belongs to this bottle out of all bottles that exist. A few more. Okay, so let me see what you guys think. Y'all have seen crime shows, so this box of matches, do you guys think it is individual or class? What do y'all think? Think about what you guys know. Okay, Gamer Grandma says class. Anybody else have a guess or have a determination? We're just talking about the matches first. Okay, individual. So we got a little vote for each. All right. Now, if you really want, you could probably on some of these argue many different things. But anyway, class, because you can match the tear angle, etc. Very interesting, Gamer Sass. I like your thinking. What the difference is? Okay, so Pyro, one more time, just so you know, individual characteristics of evidence, bring it back to a single source. So your blood, the DNA in it, leads back to only you. Whereas your hair, okay, your hair just leads back to whatever color a whole group of people who have the same hair color as you. Now, yes, we all do know that we can get DNA from hair. However, we're not talking about that. We're just talking about the strand of hair itself. Like if you were to cut it, we'll put it that way. Is there a database for chemical compositions of common materials? Tank Rat, I do believe so. There are certain databases that are limited by access based on your industry and career. But I'm pretty sure that if you were looking for something, really the internet is a great database. Excuse me. Oh, Game Assassin, you're changing individual? Well, I will tell you guys that in this particular instance, okay, when it comes to these matches, we are definitely talking individual. The tear angle, okay, it would be very difficult to exactly match. You could try really hard with other matches, but you'd also have to get the same brand. You'd have to make sure that the striking head at the top was made from the same things, the same chemical combination, the same recipe. So in that first one for the matches, it would be individual. Now, what about the tape? What about the duct tape? Really, there's a big clue on this one already. What do you guys think? We're thinking individual, okay, for you, Gamer Sass, and I would agree with you, my friend. This cut, if you have both, if you had to get, I have to say, I got you, Blue. Yeah, definitely going to be individual, especially if you have the other piece of tape. So if you have your roll of tape, which I wish I had a roll of tape with me here, and then you had a piece that was cut from it, and you could straight match those, then guess what? You've proven that they come from the same thing. Now, there's other things you want to do. Make sure that there are the same style of duct tape made by the same manufacturer, so on and so forth. Autocorrect fills the most used words by you. Yep, that is true. All right, so these first two, the matches and the duct tape, they are individual. So what about the shoe print here? What about the shoe print? Definitely. There you go, Gamer Sass. Class, because all this does is limit down to whatever size the shoe is and whatever has the same pattern at the bottom. Now, can there be individual characteristics on the bottom of the shoe? Most definitely. How you have worn out your shoes is specific to you. So if you wear a pair of boots, because we wear a lot of boots down here in Texas, every day, guess what? Your wear pattern on the sole, the very bottom of that shoe, is going to be unique to that one shoe. Especially if they're like the rubber bottomed. Are you late for class? A little bit, VD, but you're not too late. You're doing great anyway. I'm glad you're here, though. It's good that you made it. We're just talking about individual and class characteristics of this, so of evidence. So right now we're just kind of working a little activity, seeing out what you guys think. So if someone got their shoe specially made, if you got their shoe specially made, if there's a record of it, then I mean, if you have a lot of shoemakers in your area and you can't find a manufactured shoe that is sold all over, then yeah, you want to go ask those people. But that could mess with them, Gamer Grandma. That's exactly right. So if you get a specially made shoe with its own special pattern, then you definitely that definitely becomes an individual thing if we can find something to compare it to. Okay, if we have a shoe print, we can't find the shoe that has that pattern, then that evidence is not helping us one little bit. Oh God, Blue. Okay, guys, this one's easy. What about the torn piece of paper right here? Is that individual leading back to just one source, or class leading back to many sources?
Oh my.
Game Metal with that host. Thank you so much. Okay, so class, so So this torn piece of paper right here, this torn little piece from the spiral, okay, can that be matched up with the exact piece of paper that it came from? Because if so, that's going to be an individual evidence. If it leads back to could be any piece of paper, then that's when it would be class. So this particular case, it's going to be individual because we can actually match up each one of these little tears and see that they go together. And that's where it gets a little tough. And it does depend on the situation. But looking at this particular picture, we can see that the puzzle pieces do fall together. So it gets a little confusing sometimes, especially if you haven't looked at it very much in practice. Keeps being in my mind, and you were right. Could. However, sometimes if you take 20 pieces of paper and you tear them, if you've ever put them back together, or at least as best as possible, you will notice that that tear is not perfect on each page. There actually is a slight difference to them. Now, is it enough for us to notice? That could be very tough, or it could be impossible. So you do have a point, Pyro. All right, and then this next one. This is a drawing of a skull. Class or individual? Do you think that this can lead back to a single individual, a single person, or could this lead us maybe to a group of people based on just what we see here? Don't worry, Gamer Grandma. It is perfectly okay. There's nothing to be sad about. It's a crazy thing to think about. It can be hard, and I don't have physical examples to show you guys and hand you, because that definitely helps when you do this. Class and individual. Well, here's the thing. This drawing of the skull, remember, this is just a drawing. It's not the actual skull itself. Now, this is where we're getting a little nitpicky, okay? I will be honest with you. If this was a real skull, it could be individual. It can lead to the person that it belonged to, okay, with facial reconstruction. Just like Gamer Grandma said, it's individual. But if we only have a drawing of the skull, it's going to be class. If it's an accurate drawing like this one appears to be, we can determine things like race, age, and a few things like that from it. But without all the details, okay, it can only narrow down our group. So it very much depends, just like Blue said. So you guys got it all right with this one, especially with that being a drawing. That's tough. That's really tough. So one more time, just to kind of review the matches, because we can actually go in here and where the source was. Y'all can't see that mouse, can y'all? I wish I had that little program. If anybody knows a program to make your mouse show up better, like have a yellow or blue or red or thing around it, that would be, if you could let me know what that is, that would be awesome. Let me see what my arrow options are. No. Oh, I'll be okay. Yes, you did, Gamer Grandma. Well, that is not here on PowerPoint. I can write on it. Oh, wait. Nope. There it is. Laser pointer. Can y'all see that a little bit better? There we go. That looks a little better. I forgot about PowerPoint. I use Google a lot at work. So right here where these things were torn, all right, we can actually go in and match up the tearing marks. So we can prove that this belongs to this one single matchbook out of all matchbooks. You're legally blind, not a problem, Gamer. Well, Gamer Grandma will hopefully I can explain it well enough for you. And if you need me to go over something again, please don't hesitate. All right, the tape, the tear, the cut, whether it be a tear or a cut. If we have both the part that was torn off and the roll, and it hasn't been torn again, we can match up all of that together, and it should fit like a puzzle. Okay, the shoe print is going to be class because this pattern is on every shoe of that same make, and there are many different sizes, and there are many of the same size in the world as well. So this would be more of a class characteristic. This one piece of torn spiral notebook paper, okay, we can line up all the angles to everything, and with that prove that this little piece belongs to this larger piece of paper. So this is actually can help prove an entire crime has been committed and put somebody guilty. If you have a threatening note and you find someone with a piece of the spiral paper still stuck in their spiral and they match, guess what? You've now proven that they have a connection to what's going on. And then the last one, the skull here, if it's a real skull or if it's just this drawing, that can make a big difference. So it can be either or in this case, depending on what you actually have. Okay? Alright, come on, laser pointer. There it goes. Alright, so not much more, but we're going to talk about the investigations now. Okay? Some or all of the 7 major activities. Okay, there are 7 major activities at a crime scene when it comes to evidence. So now that we know that there's individual and there's class, we also have the testimonial versus physical. Now what do we do? How do we do this? Well, first we have to recognize evidence. Okay, distinguish between something that's important versus something that's not important. The skills you need for this is pattern recognition. What is a normal pattern? What is a non-normal pattern? Physical property observation. You're going to have to observe the details. Sometimes get on hands and knees to see where things are out of place. We have our information analysis. Okay, analyze what information you can gather. Testimony from someone's background. Okay, these things are important. Understand the people you are working with, or the victim or the suspect. Like, understand something about it leads you to the good evidence. And then finally we have our field testing. Okay, can you prove that this red substance on the wall is blood or is it Tabasco sauce? Okay, Tabasco is a bad example, but I can make a pretty darn convincing fake blood that can look like real blood when it dries, and you have to prove that. So field testing is very important there. Next step is preservation. Once you've recognized a piece of evidence, you need to preserve it. You need to make it as pristine and keep it the way it is as best you can. Okay, we got to make sure that we put it in the proper packaging. You never put DNA samples in plastic. The reason for this is that if you seal DNA evidence, usually because it's a body fluid or something like that, there's living things around it that can grow mold, fungus, all these different contaminants that actually destroy the DNA. So you want to put DNA in paper containers. So like if you have a swab, put it back in its box, put that into a paper bag. Air can then allow it to stay dry enough so that it doesn't start to mold while you are waiting to do tested. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Things like bullet casings. You definitely want to be careful with putting objects like that into a hard container. So like a paint bucket. We use paint buckets to save odor, because when you put something in there, you bring it down, okay, just to let it mold easy. Well, pyro, sometimes this evidence sits on a locker for months, okay, by the time they actually get a chance to work with it. So you got to be really careful. Can you test hair without the root? You cannot test it for DNA, Giselle. You can only test, like, get information about, like, color and the cuticle and things like that. But you cannot get DNA from hair that does not have the root. Let's say, just don't let it mold. Yeah, it'd be, I wish it was that easy, but that's why we gotta put it in paper. Also, DNA stuff usually gets put into the refrigerator to kind of make that process slow down as well. Let's see, paint cans. So if you have a piece of couch, you think that somebody's using accelerant, or accelerant means something to help make fires go, like gasoline. Okay, take what's left at the crime scene, put it in paint buckets, seal it down tight. Guess what? Now you have that smell, okay, those chemicals that can get into the air trapped in that paint can. So empty, clean paint cans can be used. Paper, plastic bags, Tupperwares, garbage bags. All these things can be used to preserve evidence. We used to have this running joke: go to the forensic Hobby Lobby, you know, or go to the forensic Walmart. You can get stuff to do forensic investigations from any of those places. Okay, so that's the first 2 steps. Okay, third is going to be our identification. So now we've recognized it, we preserved it. Now we got to figure out stuff about it: physical properties, chemical properties, Morphological, which means its structural properties. So like, how is it made? What is it composed of? Whether if it's biological, okay, DNA, blood, semen, sweat. You know, what are the properties of it? Human versus non-human. Okay, that comes up a lot. And then the immunological. That's a hard one to say. So, like, for instance, are we dealing with a case of anthrax? Are we dealing with a virus? Because sometimes that comes up into a case. All right, so once we've figured out the properties, now we have to do a comparison. We got to take our unknown sample from the crime scene, the thing we don't know exactly where it came from. We have figured out everything we kind of can. Now we got to go and compare that with something that is real. Is that chemical? Is what chemical, gamer and grandma? The immunological? Sorry, I just want to make sure that I do the right one. The immunological, that's your immune system. Like, so like anthrax is actually it can be spread by powder, but it actually is a poison that creates a specific immune system response. So immunological just has to do with how it affects your body and can your body fight it off. Okay, poison is only poison because your body can't deal with it fast enough before it can do the damage it needs to do. So that's what that is. So technically it's chemical, but we talk about it in a different way. Yeah. All right, so comparison. We're going to take those unknowns, like I said. So let's say we find a fingerprint at the crime scene. We've analyzed it. We've looked at all the patterns inside the print. Okay, now we got to figure out who does it belong to. Well, we got to go find someone and take their fingerprints to compare it to. All right, this is the whole reason why we have the database. Everybody who's been fingerprinted, we put their fingerprints in that database. Now we can just go there first, and if we can't find them, then that means they've never been arrested. Okay, so then we start looking further. Okay, if we have a suspect list, we're going to start fingerprinting those suspects. So comparison is the majority of what an investigator does with the physical evidence. All right, so steps 5, 6, and 7, individualization. Okay, we're going to make sure that our evidence, okay, anything that has something that is unique, we're going to make sure that we tie that to what it goes with. So for instance, like we talked about that shoe print. Well, if there's an individual characteristic in it, like there's a nail stuck through the bottom of the sole, okay, that's going to be unique to that one shoe. Okay, so we want to find those things and differentiate it from the class characteristics. All right, interpretation, putting it all together, taking all of this evidence for the whole crime and putting the story together, okay, and figuring out exactly what happened to our victim. And that leads us into the last one, the recreation, going out and actually doing the statistical analysis, if that's what's necessary, making sure that the science we did in the lab matches what could have happened in real life. This is why on the show CSI you see them running experiments all the time, taking a dummy, throwing it off a roof, or shooting the bullet out of a suspected gun that might have committed the crime. We're going to recreate it by putting all those pieces together. Would be so efficient. Well, fortunately there are too many variables, Pyro. That's the problem. There are too many variables to keep track of in a computer program. Now, we are getting closer to that. We really, really are. And there are a few physics generators that we can definitely do it. I know, CSI is the best. I used to love it, especially Las Vegas. That was actually my favorite. The others, they were okay. Like, New York was probably my second favorite. Miami, my last. All based on realism, though. If only you had the interactive up. I know. But let me see if I can still do it. So you like CSI? Vegas was good. You're done typing. I haven't seen that one. But yep, there we go. Hopefully you guys heard that. Alright, so let us see. Sorry, ESPN is buzzing on my watch. Alright, so here is a link for you guys. Let me type that out here in chat. This is kind of an extra little thing that if you guys want to go check it out. It's designed for kids, obviously, but I think it's going to help everyone kind of understand what we've talked about today. It's hard to type in gloves, by the way. There you go. There's the link right there for everybody. This is a place where you can kind of go copy and paste. And it's meh. I just typed it. That's how I roll. Just do. But yeah, everybody can kind of have a chance to go check it out. And I have not checked out this link myself. Like I said, that was one of the things I was hoping to do. But it looks like it may actually be taken down. Well, I apologize, guys. That link does not work. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that so nobody else clicks on it. Yeah, page not found. But anyway, guys, I do apologize for that. However, I will be having more resources for you guys. Remember, we're still kind of in the beginnings of all this, and I will be putting together a place where you guys can go and gather these resources together and go from there. I know, I'm sorry, Gamer Grandma, but what I can do for y'all is show you something absolutely phenomenal that I think you will actually like. Okay, so we're gonna pull up the web, and what I'm searching, if you guys can't see it, is CSI Rice Web Adventure. And it's called the CSI Experience. These are games that you guys can go through. It's if it will load, looks like it's wanting to be a little borkish today. Here we go. That's at least a little bit better. Actually, hold on. Let's do it this way. Hopefully this will work better for you guys. I'm not sure why my internet has been jacked. But here's the link to what I just went to. And these were 5 cases you could work through. Page unfound made me feel a little upset. I know, Blue. I apologize. Also known for the father of forensics. Eureka? No. Well, I'll tell you who I consider to be the father of modern forensics. And that is going to be... Oh, crap. We talked about him last week, guys. What was his name? I'm going to have to cheat on my own thing. Oh, my lord, y'all. Oh, my lord. But that is definitely false. You weren't here last week? It's Edmund Lockhart. There we go. There, I didn't even have to cheat. I figured it out. Edmund Lockhart. That's the guy I consider to be the father of modern forensics. There, Giselle. But I would definitely say that is true. That is definitely false, in my opinion. Alright, so why does this not want to work here on stream? Figures it would work that way. Okay, here we go. Here's about the series. We click on it. Maybe their site. Is anybody getting the web adventures to work? But there are 5 cases. The first one is an introductory thing to what a lab can do and the process that they do. And the others, you're actually going to solve different cases. So it's a pretty cool thing. Really, really cool. Alright, guys. So here we go. So we're going to turn off the projector. And we're going to push this up. Let me actually get to it. There we go. Super fast, right? Like lightning. Like lightning. And we're going to take it back to the front of the lab. So I want to thank y'all for being here today. I'm sorry for the... if it seemed like it was a little bit unprepared. That is not my intention. So I promise I will definitely... do a better job for you guys on episode 3. Episode 3 should be a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys can be here. As far as I know, there should be no reason for it not to be on Friday, roughly about the same time, 5:30 or 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. But yes, Magic Teacher, and who can teleport power of the internet. But guys, now that we're out of the lab, Salisbury? Well, Edmund Lockhart came up with the Lockhart's principle that when two things come in contact, they leave a trace on each other, and that is the kind of the thing that makes all this forensics work. Now, there could be an argument there, but he's my father of forensics. I love that concept, and that's, I think, the basis for everything. But guys, since we're out of the lab, you don't have to worry about contaminating. So one of the things you want to do when you take off gloves is you want to make them go inside out and then ball them up into your gloved hand. Well, I know you are. I know you're not arguing. but there's probably many different people. So then the other glove, you want to bring that out, trapping the other one inside, and guess what? Now you can put this in an evidence bag and you can save it, so that way you can prove or disprove any contamination somebody tries to say. Now, we didn't work with any evidence, so in the trash we go. But alright guys, I want to thank y'all for being here. Thank y'all for being supportive of what we're trying to do here. Hopefully you found something interesting out of it. The VOD will be posted right after this. Yeah. I'm going to try to put all this on YouTube. Looking like you're in your prostate exam. You know it. Get this finger on you. But anyway, guys, again, thank y'all for being here. Love your faces. I will see you guys again real soon. Make sure that you are following on Twitter. And that you are also in our Discord. Okay, make sure that you go to those links. That way you can stay up to date on what is going on, if they're going to be delayed or anything like that. But, no, I said no, Blue. You coming back on later? I am not. I have a friend here who is in need of me and my wife's help. He's a good friend, and so that's going to be it for us tonight. Plus, pizza's here. It's been waiting on me for like an hour, so we're going to go eat. But anyway, guys, I love your faces. We are not going to host anybody. We're just going to kind of end the stream. Gamer Grandma, I cannot tell everybody yet, but I will be telling you guys very, very soon. We did find out last night. We are super excited. However, we got to tell family, so it's going to be probably about at least 2 weeks. But as soon as we tell her family, which we have to travel to New Orleans, which is about an 8.5 hour drive. Once we do all of that, then I will be posting it on the social medias, as well as bringing it to the stream when we get back from that trip. I know, the gender versus sex thing, that's an argument for another day. But anyway, guys, I will see y'all again next time. Thank you so much. I love your faces. Remember, be kind to each other, because you never know what actually is going to bind you. What are your interests? Could be someone else's, and that's worth making a friendship over. So guys, thank you all again for coming to episode 2 of Forensic Friday, and I will see you next time. Be sure to mail you a slice. Gotcha. In a paper bag so it doesn't mold. Peace, y'all.